to carry it abroad. Then I go to Ethiopia and you not have a plan. The building of a nation and a helper on. Every one a lover, one a man is just a man. It shall be a coronation when we land.
Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? I just go where the tripping blows. Sending love to my friends and foes. And I suppose I'm pleased to be chilling in the West Indies. To provide all my wants and needs. I got the sunshine, rivers and trees. Really well.
And I say we just
who knows, who knows?
WEFM, the clean fresh sound.
WhatsApp us or call us at 457-9997. Activated Mornings on WEFM 99.9 is on now.
All right, so we are back with you for another commentary segment on today's Activated Mornings program. In studio, you have Dianna, Cain, and myself, Roleza Samuel, and we are here with you, hopefully bringing the vibes and the what they like to say, the critical thinking. Anyways, here, right? But good morning to
thou
everyone.
has summoned.
Good morning to everyone listening to us at this time. All right, we are back. We are back. All right, so before we get into the conversation, so you're gonna play the song Dirty Man. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I always remember, I was working somewhere close to St. Mary's a few years ago. And it pleased my heart when I was hearing the children singing Dirty Man.
Oh, mm-hmm.
They sang it together. And it's like, these are the songs that you want for children to be singing so that the message hits home to them. It's not just a song, but it's a song with a message. Mm-hmm. So I was so pleased to be hearing that. I don't know, it's like, I think when you get old, you appreciate hearing the voices of children, right? I used to just love hearing them.
At what age, though? Because at some ages, when you get older, they sound annoying. So at which age is it?
Well, I suppose it's because, I don't know, I had a coworker who, because we were close to the school, it used to bother her concentration. But I used to welcome it as a change from just the silence, I did mind it.
Okay,
I did mind it.
All righty then. I got my artists remain anyways.
Yes. All right. So I think that we had 2 messages there.
Oh, yes. Somebody sent a special message for you.
So somebody says, Roleza, you could put yourself forward as you for ULP and fix your road yourself. So why ULP and NDP? Why you're putting me to a side? But put myself, but you hear how it's song too, right? Put yourself forward so that you can fix your road yourself. How that going to look? How that going to look? The minute I get into office, my road fix.
Well, they're going to talk about it, but the road fix.
It's true. At the end of the day, the road fix. Yeah. Say what you want, talk for the 9 days, my road fix. Yeah. But it's always interesting because I think it's Rajiv I was having a conversation with. And so I always be like, I could never run for politics. You could give me a ministry to run, but I would never run for politics, right? Because I can't be one of those persons who are going to be out there for everybody, right? I ain't standing as godparent for everybody, child. I ain't going to every funeral. I ain't going to every wedding invited to. If I choose to drive with my windows up, I choose to drive with my windows up. I will not be walking around with $5 notes inside of my wallet or inside my purse for when persons say, give me something, I'll buy something. I will not be one of those persons, right? I will be truly one of those politicians who would go into work, do their work, and go home, right? So when they talk about, you're not there with the people, you're not in and out, listen.
Yeah, we're not voting for you. We're not voting for you.
But I would get the job done. What do you want? You want to see my face or get the job done? No. Listen, I don't know how politicians do it. Because for me, I value personal time so much, right? I do believe in hard work. I do believe in doing what it is that you're mandated to do. But I can't be out there for the people like that. And I would never be one of those persons to say, but I don't see him. Well, I don't see him or her. When you see them around election time, I understand. If you're actually working and you're taking that time to yourself, I understand. But I know that I am definitely in the minority with this thought. Definitely.
I believe so this morning, yes.
But to each their own, all right? To each their own. But if you know that you are going to be you have to be self-sacrificing as a politician, right? You have to be giving off your time, even your health in some regards, because I don't know how many of them actually are able to eat healthily, eat on time, eat properly, and even get some exercise in. I don't know how many of them actually are able to do that, given the length or the amount of hours that they have in their day just doing work in the constituency. Me, I am that self-sacrifice.
Well, if you walk around the constituency, well, you could kill two birds with one stone. Interact with the people, get your exercise in by walking around the community.
Oh, that's like my friend down there in Grenada, Mr. Mitchell.
Oh,
yeah, you've never noticed a lot of these videos where he's just there walking around in the community.
Yeah, I know. That's one of the reasons why I liked him like that. I saw him, I don't know, last year or the year before, he was in the job. He was even doing job with I was like, you go, Mr. Prime Minister.
When all you miss me, I gone to Grenada. Yeah, but I do admire him because I'm not even sure if it's an election year for them necessarily. I really don't know. But, even up to recently, he's there walking around. He was there walking around with this African, I'm not sure which country in Africa the influencer was from. But he was there walking around with this influencer, meeting persons, as usual, nicely dressed.
Yes,
Nicely dressed. Let me keep emphasizing nicely dressed.
Yes.
And it's really interesting to see, and down to earth and people person. He seems to be a people person. I'm not sure if it's just for the gram, but so hats off to him.
Young and emanizing.
Yeah, man. You mean we young and emanizing?
No, him too. I mean, he may not be young, but he's he's
in his
youthful.
40s. I think he's like 45. So right up my alley. But anyways,
let me see if I can link up my Grenadian friends.
All right, so this is two young ladies on the radio talking about a man, but we are moving on
Not just any man.
and getting on into something more serious at this time. All right,
Correct. So we're moving on to a different man, one who's when we're not going to be saying good things about this man. This man was in the news for pouring kerosene on a woman and threatening to set her afire. So this story is a bit crazy for me. So to kind of sum it up for you, I don't want to go through all of the long details of it, but to kind of sum it up, this gentleman called this lady whom he knows. She was in a van. She was like, oh, let me call you back when I get out the van. She gets off at a gap, and lo and behold, there he is standing right there. She comes out, he pours something on her. It turns out to be kerosene, and then he had this light, and he's threatening to set her on fire. I think she ran and started to make noise, scream, which is supposed to be the natural response. And he says, listen to me, if you scream, I'm gonna light you on fire. Not like that, but he threatened to set her on fire if she was making noise. One of the disturbing things for me, and I'm still trying to figure out if I'm surprised or not, is the fact that they moved from one place to another. He had her holding her by her shirt and carrying her from one place to the next, and they passed people along the way. And according to the article I read, she asked for help, but people did not help her. That is the part I'm trying to figure out if I'm surprised by this response or not, but it's definitely disturbing, and of course not something that you want to hear. So there was this man holding her by her clothes, dragging her. No, she had kerosene oil on her skin. She's screaming, she's crying, whatever the case may be. You're passing people, she's asking for help. I had to repeat that, and nobody helped her. Right. So so somewhere along the way, they ended up passing, or police transport, probably doing, I think, I can't remember if it mentioned that they were doing the regular patrol, but they passed them, and then the police officer stopped, asked the lady if she was okay. She explained to them. They took both of them into the station to question them, and here we are with this story this morning. So that is what's up at this time.
Yeah, and I think one of the points to also note in this story as well, and so the facts as outlined by Justice Burnett, and mind you, we're reading this from Eyewitness News, are that Tibbles and the virtual complainant know each other very well. Now, there are oftentimes, it's said many times, that when a woman is attacked and when she is violated, in whichever way she's violated, oftentimes it's from somebody who she actually knows, right? Because she was on a van and he actually called her to find out, I think, where she was. If I remember correctly, he phoned to find out where she was, and she was in the van, and she said it was difficult to communicate with him, but as she got out, as she disembarked, he was there at the gap waiting for her with a container containing that liquid. And as Dianna said, there are certain things that stood out for me. And one of them being that she passed persons and she asked for help and nobody helped. And when I think of these type of situations, number one, is already bad that he poured kerosene on her and threatened to set her afire, right? But to imagine to find yourself as a lady in this particular situation and you are passing persons, it's one thing for you to probably be by yourself, right? And this has happened to you, but imagine your relief in a sense, or your hopes of seeing persons along the road and calling out to those persons.
Right?
And nobody takes you on. Nobody takes you seriously. And this is what for me is so frightening, right?
Yes,
apart from what the man, apart from what the man has done, that for me is what is frightening. And there are many times, we want to come down on the police for not doing this, for not doing that. But again, it also comes back to us as citizens. What are we doing to prevent crimes here in SVG? Because somebody could have put a halt to this. Somebody could have probably pulled her away from the gentleman. They could have raised the alert, raised the alarm. They could have done something. But nobody did anything. So it's even it might just be a miracle that she's even alive to have been even been able to get into police custody and the story developed from there. But imagine that. So sometimes I do feel maybe as women, when you find yourself in certain situations, you really have to think for yourself and try to find a way to get out of the situation by yourself without hopefully trying to rely on other individuals. And then the other thing too is now it's sometimes you might be having to watch the people who you interact with an extra eye.
Roleza mentioned it. She said, two of the main things I want to pull out here, how frightening the situation is and the importance of getting out of these situations. Ladies, if you're in a situation, I'm not saying this with two people who are in a relationship, but you may be in a situation where you're in a relationship with somebody or you have some friend or the other and the important thing is to get out because there are people that have died. And as Roleza said, this situation could have been fatal. Now, as a woman in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and I read this article, I'm thinking, now I have to go and take extra precautionary measures. I have to go and figure out ways that I can help myself. Now I have to go and think about scenarios that I probably never thought about before and try to come up with a solution to get myself out of these situations. Because now I can't rely on people helping me. I can't sit and think, I could at least think that if I'm passing some people, they would help me. No, I have to think, people ain't even gonna help me. So I have to now think about a situation. I have to go and predict situations and figure out how I am going to help myself in a situation that ain't even happened yet because I can no longer rely on the help of persons. But then when we talk about female and problems affecting us, we get certain responses.
Yeah, I mean, and of course, we're not trying to paint a picture that all the men in SVG are like this, right? We're not going to say that. I'm not even sure if to say the majority are. I really don't know what the stats would be. All right. But it's just that for us as females, we do have to be on the alert. You have to be on the alert in terms of who it is you're inviting to your home. Right? You have to be on the alert for who it is you're inviting to your yard because, they always want a glass of water. They always want a glass of water, right? And sometimes you have to note that by the time you turn your back, you don't know what could possibly happen in terms of them entering into your house itself, all right? So we have to find simple ways. Females, you're driving around in a vehicle, have some sort of protection inside of that vehicle, all right? If it means that you have to lock your doors because you just never know, you might stop at a particular area and somebody might try to open the door, you just never know, all right? So sometimes we have to think, maybe a couple steps forward, think ahead in certain instances of situations just in case because we just never know, all right? And of course, it's not to frighten anybody. We do want to believe that we are still going to live in a society where persons are going to stop and help if we find ourselves in trouble. But The reality just might be you might have to fend or defend yourself. All right. So
worst case scenario.
think of your everyday routine. Do you generally, like, if you generally walk or drive a particular route, maybe sometimes you might want to change it up. All right. Giving out your numbers to people. If you find somebody's annoying, you block them. There is nothing wrong with just blocking numbers. All right. You don't have to say a face for a soul. You can block people.
Block and delete.
Right? You can block persons. So find little ways to protect your sanity, to protect your person. And
is it are they allowed to import pepper spray?
No. Even I actually did try to think, but where it is I was ordering from on Amazon, even to have it delivered in New York at the time, there was a note that came up that it wasn't allowed. It couldn't be imported into that state. So, I mean, I know of persons who have brought it in, not necessarily selling it, but they did have it in their possession. But as far as I know here locally, and somebody in law could actually confirm for me, but as far as I know, no, it's not allowed. Right? So,
okay.
Yeah.
All
right. So we're heading out of this segment at this time, and we'll be back with more Activated Mornings commentary in a bit.